Greetings, Fright Nights. I'm Count Jackula,
I'm the horror guru.
and we just saw The Taking of Deborah Logan.
Yep.
So, what'd you think of the movie?
I kind of liked it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It's not perfect, but
No.
it's a creepy little flick that's got a really cool monster. And I feel bad because I almost feel like based on the way it was marketed and based on all the descriptions of the movie that's kind of spoiling the movie.
It kind of is, but all right, so here's what we mean by not a perfect film. By not a perfect film, specifically, we mean there are a lot of logical problems with the behavior of the characters.
Yeah.
You're like, this doesn't make a lot of sense.
Hey, in order to stop this thing, we've got to do this with this object we have. And you're like, well, why don't you just do that now? Why are you waiting till this point? There's no reason for you to do it.
Yeah. There's no reason to dick around and wait for this perfect moment.
Or the better question, what makes you think it's going to work this time when it didn't work the first time?
Yeah, exactly. So if you look at the poster for The Taking of Deborah Logan, you're going to think that this is like a real run-of-the-mill found footage possession story.
And some of it feels like the first half felt like it might be going in that direction, but there are hints at something more.
Yeah. It actually goes in a much different direction. Like, you look at it and you're like, oh, this is going to be like The Devil Inside or some bullshit
Devil
like that.
Inside, or just like a really bad knockoff of like The Last Exorcism.
Yeah. That's why for a long time we kind of skipped over it because we were like, oh, it's got one of those.
I had it recommended to me multiple times, especially after my top 10 films of last year list, and I was mentioning, I think I was talking about Afflicted, and I put it on like a pile of like found footage is so like overdone at this point. And, and a couple people saying that movie's actually pretty good, and I'm like, yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know.
I like found footage, but even I've got to say, kind of, whoa, we need to put this one to rest for a little bit.
I'm quite the fan of found footage, but it is an oversaturated market right now to the point where even good ones like this one I am missing just because it just.
Yeah, it's just so much crap.
And even this one, it is very much so a post Paranormal Activity found footage thing where you feel like there are parts that are almost unnecessary for the movie that they do just because Paranormal Activity did it.
Yeah, like with the security camera thing. Yeah, the security camera thing felt really unnecessary in a lot of parts.
Absolutely. Also, like, this movie is so edited and there's so much like soundtrack and things like that. Kind of like The Last Exorcism was, where you're just kind of like, this really isn't found
footage. Someone put this together,
And as such, there's also a whole lot of like in terms of like logical inconsistencies, there's like a scene where something happens in another room and like the characters all wake up, but they all wake up and you hear them all wake up and the room is dark and they turn on the light and the camera was just laying on its side on the whole time.
Yeah, because they're recording sound and you're like, why they be recording sound and the camera's not on?
Especially if they already have security cameras around the place. Why is that camera just on when they wake up? Not the camera turns on, it's like, we just woke up and we've heard this sound or something like that. Like,
it's like really weird.
It's one of those things where the movie kind of throws... it kind of gives up on trying to make you believe it's happening after a certain point.
Yeah, it really does, and it kind of relies on the creepiness of its premise, which
and some of it is pretty creepy.
Oh yeah, it is. It legitimately creepy. Like, the whole setup is that basically there's a film crew here to document the effects of do a documentary on an Alzheimer's patient, but also the effect on the Alzheimer's caregiver. And as the story goes on, like, she gets weirder and weirder and weirder.
And sure, showing signs of things that are not Alzheimer's related. Clearly.
Like, she starts like tearing her own skin off.
She starts showing signs of like multiple personalities. She starts showing signs of like just straight up schizophrenia.
Like she could just be straight up crazy.
Not just forgetting things or not remembering things or kind of forgetting who she is, just straight up seeing things. She starts having these weird like lesions on her skin that just start forming for no apparent reason. And a whole bunch of snakes keep popping up.
Yeah. A huge number of snakes just keep like.
In fact, at one point she like vomits a whole shit ton of worms, and I was surprised they weren't snakes.
Yeah.
The rest of that.
Yeah. Well, I think they were trying to get across the idea that they were kind of snake-like.
Yeah. Because I was just like, I was half expecting them to be snakes too.
Yeah. Just like straight up. So
like in terms of things that she does that aren't really Alzheimer's related, she just vomits a whole bunch of dirt and worms.
Yeah. Yeah. So, God. All right. Fuck it. Spoiler territory.
Okay.
So, if you're like, I'm not convinced I want to spend an hour and a half watching this movie. So here's the twist. The twist is she is turning into like a snake demon.
Yeah. Some sort of snake elder god thing or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that apparently every time it reaches the end of its life cycle, it has to transfer itself. To someone in order to continue to live on. And like you have all this backstory of these previous murders that happened that she's remembering, and that she was she was like a phone dispatcher.
She was a person who took they used to have like these message services where if the call came to you, you'd be like, you take the message down and, patch it through and all this stuff. And it turns out that Deborah Logan, main character, caught hip to the realization that one of the people in the town was trying to complete this black magic ritual in which he was murdering little girls.
Yep.
And that her daughter was targeted as the last victim.
Mm-hmm.
So she fucking puts a stop to that with the help of her neighbor.
Mm-hmm. But
she's been carrying that around for like 40 years at this point. This happens in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And
the 70s and the 80s, the height of the black magic ritual.
Satanic panic. I always love it when a lot of these modern movies like tie things into satanic panic.
And this movie definitely does.
Oh yeah, very much. And so what's happening is that the spirit of like the magician and the snake demon itself are like trying to take her over, so that the ritual can be completed, and the ritual is supposed to grant immortality to the magician. And snake immortality. Yeah. And there actually is a point where she's like trying to eat a little girl's head,
and her jaw just unhinges and it's wrapped around it. It was actually we saw a GIF of that scene, and we're like, oh man, like what the hell is that? And like someone in the comment below it was just like, oh, it's Taking of Deborah Logan.
Yeah.
And we're just like, man, maybe we should finally watch that. Like,
that just got us to watch the movie, and we're pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
The lead actress who plays Deborah Logan is amazing.
Oh yeah,
holy crap!
Her portrayal in the beginning of just someone with Alzheimer's is amazing.
Oh, God, yeah.
Then her portrayal of someone just completely losing their mind is amazing. And then her as the snake monster is terrifying.
Yeah. God. And the funny thing is you're looking at her and you're like, how did they... There are a lot of scenes where you can tell there's a lot of like bullshit, like found footage editing.
Yeah.
But there are some other scenes where you're like, wow, did they just like have her do that?
Yeah.
And even like, realizing you probably got like guys on wires and shit. She like throws guys around at one point. There's a point where like she's like throwing a guy around and like jumps up on something, and you're like, is this old woman just really, really spry? Or did they make like a woman who's like only middle-aged look really old?
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's very possible because the makeup of her deteriorating as she's like
dying
makes her
look fucking
amazing.
ancient. Yeah. That's the other thing. The makeup in this is great.
Oh yeah, super good.
The use of like CG and practical effects is mixed very well here, and it's helped by the fact that it's found footage, so they're able to make things look a little rough and it still work. Like the effect of her squirting acid in people's faces actually worked really well.
It did. It worked really well. Even if that was like a digital effect, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I couldn't tell which one it was. Which is always good if I can't tell.
Yeah.
That means you've done something right. And obviously her unhinging her jaw had a little bit of CG there. I don't know if it was the whole thing, but part of it was.
Yeah, part of it had to be. You know,
at least I could tell a little bit, see a little, but that's like one scene in the entire movie.
Yeah, where it looks just a little too smooth.
Yeah,
you know, but for the most part, I don't know how else. Well, if it would have been a wise idea to do that practically, considering all the camera motion that's happening at the time.
Yeah,
you know, man, no, they did. The funny thing is that everything the movie does right, it does really right.
Definitely.
You know?
Definitely, but like there's just so many little things that start to get to you, like the fact that at a certain point the second cameraman leaves, so there's no second cameraman anymore in the movie. Yet so many scenes are shot with 2 camera angles.
Yeah. So you're like, wait a minute. But if you're always like, hey, in these movies, why doesn't a dude just leave? That happens,
which is nice.
Yeah,
it's nice that the guy who clearly needed to leave does.
Yeah. Yeah, like there is a dude in the beginning they just make him into like a big tool. He's just a complete douche nozzle.
They go out of their way to make him a douche nozzle. Like everything he says to everyone, all culminating in, is there a Starbucks near here? You're just like, oh my god, I hope this guy dies.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Yeah, they make him really unlikable. But 2/3 of the way through the movie, after like
fuck this shit about it.
Yeah, he's just like, I am gone. He's like, but no, you have to finish the project. Like, fuck your project, I'm out.
People are shooting us.
Yeah. Dudes are shooting us. Fuck this.
Yeah, there's a point in the movie where the neighbor goes on a drunken rampage and just starts shooting up their car to get them to leave.
And so the guy does.
Yes.
He takes the hint and bolts.
Gets the fuck out of there.
And you're just sort of like, oh, is he going to come back?
Nope.
Oh, I guess not. Nope. I guess he's just like, no, fuck you.
And then there's a point where like vaguely ethnic camera guy gets left behind.
Yeah.
So he survives. So the cameramen survive in this, which is rare in a found footage movie for the cameraman to fully survive.
Yeah.
Like I think they did in The Sacrament, and that's about it I can think of off the top of my head.
It's like The Sacrament. Afflicted, I think the guy leaves and the other guy takes the camera.
Afflicted, I almost don't count because they're just guys filming themselves.
Yeah.
So like the main character, like if he's gonna live or survive, then he's gonna be with the camera. But I think of stuff like that is clearly like documentary crews and things like that. The cameraman usually never lives.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy's usually dead meat.
You know.
And the thing that's actually kind of nice is that you go through the entire movie not realizing how low the death count is, which is actually a good testament to the fact that they did that right.
No, definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Surprisingly low death count considering all the violence that happens.
Yeah. I think only one character really dies.
Yeah, only one character like flat out dies.
Like many characters get scarred, maimed, and like poisoned and all that stuff.
Bits ripped out of them.
Yeah. Like fucking mangled.
Yeah. There's a lot of people mangled in this movie, but like
I think only one character truly dies over the course of the monster's rampage.
Yeah. But of course, like the threat of they use the threat of the monster like really well, because there's a point at which you're just sort of like, where are they gonna find like a little girl to kill? And then they take the mom to a hospital, and everyone is panicking. And the guy's like, "Where's my daughter?" And you're like, "Oh,
yeah,
oh, right." Pediatric ward, got it. You know, oh man. But like, one of the things I really I kind of appreciate is like, for lack of a better way of putting it, despite the fact that very few characters die, the monster also wins.
Yeah,
the monster completes the ritual at the end of the story and gains immortality.
It is wonderful.
It is kind of wonderful.
It is a nice little ghoulish moment there.
Yeah. Oh man.
Hey, little girl, what do you plan to do when you get old? It's a secret. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Fuck. There's something I was gonna say, but I completely lost it. Oh well.
Oh,
early onset Alzheimer's.
Oh. So I think in the end, actually, thumbs up. It's on Netflix right now. You should definitely check it out.
Absolutely.